Hi, everybody. John Adams and my mother, Romaine Juanita Thomas Adams, here in another in our continuing series of Union City memories. You have some memories.
I guess.
Well,
Yes,
we're
definitely.
all right. Let's just do a quick recap. You remember number one. Always look right here.
Okay.
Okay. Pretend that's Marilyn on the other side of that. She's looking. Hi,
Hi,
Marilyn.
Marilyn.
See, you remember the first episode was Gracie Freck Snurd Snore.
Yes.
Gracie, did you enjoy that? We haven't heard back from you yet. The second was the mysterious and irreputable Harl
Harl
Snyder. Oh,
Bottom of the barrel.
have to go back and watch that again just to get the scoop on Harl.
Yeah.
And now today we're talking about Union City, the sleeping porch.
Right.
Now, what was the sleeping porch all about?
Well, it was very nice. This went out over the kitchen, I think. It had about a railing around it after Mother did the renovation of the house. And we would go out there and sleep and put cots up. And what I don't remember is where we kept the cots. These were canvas cots, you know. And I don't remember where we kept the cots when we weren't using them. So that's what I want to know if Marilyn remembers.
What times of the year were you able to sleep out on the sleeping porch?
Well, I guess summertime mostly, mainly summertime. And when we woke up in the morning, it was all, we were wet.
With dew.
Yeah. And we could go in anytime in the middle of the night and sleep there in the bedroom over the kitchen, I think it was. No, over the dining room. It was over the dining room. And there was a door out to this sleeping porch.
Was it screened in?
Sleeping porch?
Yes.
No, no,
Well, I assume it was covered somehow.
no.
Oh, it was just like a deck.
Yes. And also we had access to the roof there and we'd climb around on the roof. That was exciting.
What did your mother think about you climbing on the roof?
Well, I don't know that she ever voiced any problems with it.
Oh, okay. Now, do you recall being bitten by mosquitoes? Because if we did that in Decatur or down here, you'd wake up with welts all over you because the mosquitoes
No.
would just eat you up.
Don't remember anything about mosquitoes.
Okay, no mosquitoes. Well, that's good. Marilyn, do you remember the sleeping porch? That we'd like a response on that. Now, we saw a show on TV last night called, no, it was this morning, CBS Sunday Morning, Where's Molly?
Yes.
And it was about a child that was just at age 3 or 4, was sent off to an institution for mentally affected children.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, well, that reminded you of Don and Margaret Turner. The Turners had a son, had 2 sons. Bob was fine,
Yeah.
but who was the other one?
George Mason.
George Mason.
George Mason Turner was not right. Now, that's all there's to it. But his mother refused to admit it and insisted that he do everything everybody else did. And it was sort of made us all nervous because George Mason was apt to choke you.
Oh, my goodness.
Choke a child or something.
Yes.
And his father, Don, had a nervous breakdown over the whole thing.
Is that right?
Too bad.
All right. And they did finally put him in a home or an institution.
I think, yes, eventually.
Okay. Where did the Turners live? Do you remember?
Yes. Down the street that went beside the school, going north, I guess,
Okay.
down there.
All right. Now, another thing that we had talked about in preparing today was you had remembered a mean thing that you did to Marilyn.
Oh, yeah.
This is a good time to go ahead and fess up. Now, she may remember this as the most wonderful thing that ever happened. So.
I don't think so. She'd want me to go riding with her. So
Now, didn't you want to go riding?
well, yeah, but not enough to go catch the horse and saddle it up and bring it up and everything. So I made her do that, which was just awful, catching a horse out in that big field.
Why is it so hard to catch a horse?
Well,
Does it not want to come?
Of course not. And when you want to go up to where it is, you just about get it, see, and then it whoosh off to the other side of the field. There you are tramping around.
So how do
again.
you ever get it? Do you have to offer it sugar or something? Or
I'm not even sure how we ever did.
you didn't? That was not your department.
I guess not. So anyhow, if Marilyn would do all that and get it saddled and bring it up to the house, I'd put on my fancy job first and march down.
Wait a minute. All right.
Hmm.
So she had to catch the horse, saddle it, and then bring it to the steps. Now, when you were done riding,
Well, see, I don't remember about that, but I suspect I got off at the steps again.
this is almost like a royal entrance on your part.
Yes, but she wanted to do the riding, didn't she? And
Okay. All right. All right. Now, that brings up the issue of the barn. Well, I know, and this has special meaning because we're here on beautiful St. Simon's Island, the crown jewel of Georgia's coastal empire, where, by the way, it is a spectacular day today.
It is. It's
Very
just
nice.
beautiful.
It is November the 28th
Yes.
of 2010. And by the way, Margie and I got our flu shots today, and Mama will get yours tomorrow.
Yes.
But one of our properties down here is directly on the water, and Brunswick is trying to break in. He's not very happy. I'll have to let him in
Yes.
just a minute.
I think you will.
Anyway, we have guests that stay there and pay, and that's the only way we can afford it. And one of them had complained about a giant rat that had been out on the porch. And Margie talked to him, and they said, well, it was larger than a cat. And I thought that was hard to believe, that there would be a rat larger than a cat.
Yes.
And it turns out it is an American mink.
Huh.
They refer to them as marsh minks in this part of the country, but we looked up, it's a relative or a member of the weasel family. And it does, when it's wet, it can look like a rat, but it's much larger than a rat. But you told me in the barn there were some big rats.
Definitely.
Were they as big as a cat?
Oh, no.
No? Okay. Now, there was something else you told me about the barn that Marilyn said that I thought was funny.
Oh, yeah. She told me that, I think this was from where she's living now, that if we're in the house and we even think about going to the barn, the rats know it and they leave. Well, I don't believe that.
How could they know it?
But that's how perceptive she thinks the rats
Well,
are.
that's certainly a testimony to their perception. If
But she
that's,
told me they don't have any rats now. I don't believe that.
well, hopefully that's the case. Now, here are a couple other questions that I had. Where did where did the elevator come into being, and the timeline? One of the things we talked about was my father, your John, had come to spend the summer.
Yes, in 1941, after he graduated from high school.
Okay, and the purpose of that was?
Well, it was for him to have some sort of connection with a male
Father figure. Excuse me.
because there were only women in the family, just his grandmother and his mother, and they thought that would be a good thing. And also, they were trying to get him away from some girl he was crazy about.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was another female involved
Oh,
in this.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
Apparently so. And,
They forgot to notice that I was there. You know?
well, apparently he didn't forget to notice.
No, and evidently they didn't care that he went for me. But,
Well, that's you're respectable, that's why.
well, this other girl was too. I don't know.
She just sort of lost out.
Yeah.
Well, now, did Papa have the elevator at that point in 1941?
Yes.
And you seem to recollect that he had gotten it for a song,
Yes, $6,000, I think.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
But they were losing money,
Right.
and the name was,
Well, I was thinking of Pierce Elevator, but I don't believe that's right now that I think about it. I'm just not sure.
but it was in the same location,
Yes.
right down at obviously at the tracks.
Mhm.
Isn't that interesting? And somehow I had just assumed that Grandpa had built that, but that was not.
Oh no,
So he bought
he
that.
bought it, and it was a big deal too.
Did he have any experience, or did he just hire people, or do you think he knew how to run an elevator?
Well, he had Jesse, his bookkeeper. That was
Right.
good, and no, he just
Thought that was something he could do.
yeah,
Okay, and it was fairly successful.
absolutely.
Well, that's good. Southside Elevator.
Southside Elevator.
I sure remember it, and I'm sorry it's gone. Now, what was Daddy's job that summer?
Oh, well, my father had a farm out on the Ohio side, and Daddy was supposed to, and had something like 40,000 chickens in that place, or 10,000, I guess. 10,000 chickens in this big brick barn. And Daddy was to go along and clean out the coops.
I bet he didn't like that very much.
Well, bless his heart, he never did complain or anything about that.
Hmm.
But
And
he had already lined up a job as being a lifeguard of the pool, and he would much rather have done that.
so this was not quite as glamorous as being a lifeguard,
Right.
having to clean out the chicken coops. Now, somebody had a contract with Case Machinery or putting together.
Yes, and he did that too. He was supposed to put the Case machinery together.
And that was like tractors and.
Yes, that was a big deal to be able to get those tractors, because after the war they were just
Well, but this was
desperate.
41. This was actually
yeah.
before the war.
Well,
But they were still, that was a big deal.
yeah, I think so.
And my father was putting them together. That doesn't sound like him.
Well,
That's what he was asked to do.
I
huh?
think so.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fine. I had asked you about some of your teachers,
Oh yes,
and you had commented on Mrs. Roush.
she was the sweetest thing. She was a big lady, and just as wonderful as anybody could ever want. Just a nice mother figure. And then we went from there to Miss Moffat, and she was grouchy and grumpy and
Mm,
terrible.
mm.
I remember one occasion, I never forgave her for it. We had a little boy that had misbehaved, and she took him in the cloakroom and spanked him. And he managed to keep his composure and not cry. So she just took him in there again and spanked him again until he did cry. So he did have to come out in front of all of us
Oh, good.
so we
grief.
could see him crying.
Well, that's inappropriate.
Yes, yes.
Very inappropriate. And what about?
Well, the third grade teacher I liked very much, and she got married, and I can't seem to remember either name now. I had it in mind, and it left me.
Well, maybe Marilyn will remember. Did she have some of these same teachers?
I think so.
All right. Well, that's something you can tell us about. And then you also had a Miss Murphy.
Well, that was fifth grade. You forgot Miss Turner in
Oh,
the
I
fourth grade.
forgot Miss Turner. Excuse me.
She was wonderful, too.
Okay.
I believe she might have been the one that told Mother and Daddy that I really was special and had something extra that they should do something with or something. I don't know.
Wow.
She was impressed with me.
Well,
And then Miss Murphy was wonderful. She was a Catholic, of course, and she was just wonderful.
now, was there a parochial school?
Oh, yes, the Catholic school.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just assumed there was, and I assumed that the Catholic teachers would be there. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anyway.
And then Miss Higgs,
Yeah, Miss Higgs. What's the story on Miss Higgs?
grouchy spinster.
Well, that doesn't sound like much fun.
Well, you better behave, that's all.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's 15 minutes. I think that wraps up the episode number 3, The Sleeping Porch. Marilyn, you are welcome to share this with some Union City friends and respond in kind. We enjoy doing this. I have a lot of fun with it, and I hope that you do too. So I'm going to post this on YouTube and get it off to you and Kathy and Tom, or Thomas. It's all right. You can call me Johnny, and I'll call you Tommy, and we'll all call Kathy Kathy. How about that? From St. Simon's Island on the coast of Georgia, this is John Adams Jr. and
Romaine Thomas Adams.
signing off. See you guys later. Bye now.